Oh yes, my Straight Talk family, it's time to keep moving on. Time to say a very pleasant night to my Straight Talk family in St. Kitts and Nevis, and my Straight Talk family all across the Caribbean, or should I say all across the world, because we are on the World Wide Web, and we know we reach you wherever you are. And if you are joining me for the first time, Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free expression on all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, you do have a forum to express yourselves freely. Let's, in the process, continue to keep St. Kitts and Nevis, try to regain, I should say, that position of being one of the freest countries in the world. My Straight Talk family, we try to raise the level of national consciousness. We try to raise the level of national discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. My name is Ian Patches Liburd, and I give Almighty God thanks for blessing me with this opportunity, yet another opportunity, to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. And I'm saddened because I got some news this afternoon about the person of Sanson Nolan, and it really hit me in the gut that Sanson has passed away. I understand he passed away sometime on the weekend, last weekend, so I'm told. So I want to extend condolences to his father, Sonny Nolan, to Melda, sisters, all his sisters, Tasha, and the entire family. And we trust that you will all be strong, and just remember, death is a process. You know, we can say anything, we can extend our sympathies, we can say anything, but who really feels it are the ones who really know it. And my Straight Talk family, I also want to inform you that we will move into our observations in review. And our observations in review is that time of the program when we follow the facts. And in the process, we also do some reflection. We do some reflection on the things that are going on. Then we ask a few questions, such as what was accomplished, how it has helped others, how it has changed since, and what can be expected next, and what we have learned as a people. And my Straight Talk family, my first observation comes from across the Narrows. My first observation comes from across the Narrows over there in Nevis. And I've been following things over there in Nevis, my sister land. And I always hasten to say that I'm a Nevisian born in St. Kitts, because all Liburds come from Nevis. And I listened to the premier sometime last week when he said this.
We started some conversations with a significant investor on the island, Mr. Patrick Drahi, and those conversations, he is the owner, we're told, of the largest private jet in the world. He has made Nevis home, and so we started a conversation with Mr. Drahi. He tried to forge a public-private partnership where he will bring the money to finance the infrastructural improvements that we want to do at the Van Samre Airport. And the negotiations thus far contemplate that what we will do is rather than that becoming a burden on the taxpayer to repay, we will seek to work together to enhance operations at the airport. We have not yet concluded the agreement, but I'm just giving you the bare bones of what it is we're trying to do, and of course saying to you that we have an investor who's prepared to partner with us.
You know, my stray dog family, I always ask myself why our current crop of politicians are not really upfront with the people. Because I read in a French news journal under the caption Nevis and Eden for Patrick Drahi. And it dealt with the planned lengthening of the runway. And according to the article under the caption, as I said, Nevis and Eden for Patrick Drahi, it was written in French, as a matter of fact. And according to our information, Patrick Drahi set up a structure called Blue Airport Limited, which actually signed an agreement since last May 2022, with the Nevis Island Administration, the NIA, to lengthen the runway by approximately 1,500 feet, improving refueling capacities in fuel, improve lighting, build an aircraft hangar, and improve or reorganize the management of the airport. And once this work has been carried out for a cost which would be estimated, according to this newspaper article, Drahi's teams at estimated by Drahi's teams at between 18.4 and $23.2 million to be financed in cash and loans. And the revenue from the new airport will be shared on a 70-30 basis between Drahi and the Nevis Island Administration. On the other hand, all costs, for example, the salaries of airport employees, maintenance of the runway, costs of utilities, etc., will be borne exclusively by the Nevis Island Administration. And this agreement will last until Patrick Drahi has recovered all of his investment, increased by an interest rate of 2% per year, the agreement specifies. And once the reimbursement has been made, the revenue will then be shared 70-30 between Patrick Drahi and the NIA for 7 years. After 7 years, then the proceeds will all go to the NIA. So once he has been reimbursed with the monies he has expended, whether it's 23 million US or whatever the figure, then it will kick into the revenue sharing arrangement between Drahi and the NIA for 7 years. After that 7 years, then the proceeds will all go to the NIA. So yes, he's given us bones, bare bones, but the agreement is there. And Patrick Drahi and the Blue Airport Limited, his company, will benefit from the NIA's exemption from personal or corporate taxes for all matters relating to revenue from the project, the management of the airport, and or leasing of the hangar for a period of 15 years or for the entire repayment period. And I believe that clause is in there because in terms of revenue, the empirical data would show that the revenue collected by the airport in 2016 was $827,000 EC dollars, then $788,000 in 2016, and the last figures we had was just before the COVID. In 2018, rather, I should say, it went down to $563,000. So you see the period of time that this loan will have to be amortized if this is the kind of revenue that's being collected at the airport. Now, according to our information, internal estimates in Drahi's entourage for future revenue after completion of the project would average around $1.2 million per year. So these are the facts. An agreement has been signed. But one thing that we have not been able to establish is what are the guarantees that the NIA is posting. Are they mortgaging the airport, for example? What guarantee is being put up as collateral for the monies that would be loaned by Patrick Drahi? Yes, he's a multi-billionaire or a billionaire, but he's not going to give his money for nothing. That's a fact. So, my Straight Talk family, this is an issue that Straight Talk is following closely. The other issue as well relates to the land. Who is going to pay those relocation fees? Because there are quite a lot of people in proximity to the airport that would have to be relocated or moved to facilitate the expansion or the extension of that runway. And this would run the NIA into millions of dollars. So we ought to know more. We ought to put some meat on the bones, Mr. Premier, and let the people know what is going to be the real issues and where the money will come from to pay those people for their lands, or we will find the lands as another alternative for these people if they are to be moved. So it's not as simple as that. It's not as simple as that, and I believe that the people in Nevis ought to get the facts. But this is the observation in review I want to address tonight, my Straight Talk family. And on my last program, we had a conversation about the political fear and the victimization spread across the Federation. And before I do that, though, I want to say a special good night for the Kititians and Nevisians in the diaspora. I did not greet them. Forgive me for that. There are lots of you all around the world, in Asia, in Africa, in Europe, and of course, a whole lot of you all over North America. So I'm at liberty to say good night. I can say good morning, and I will say good afternoon, because one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. But as I was saying, last week, and I do apologize as well, let me apologize as well, my Straight Talk family, for my absence on Thursday. We should have informed you that Thursday would have been a day off for Straight Talk, and I should have informed you, but that was an oversight by the technical team, and I take full responsibility for that, and I apologize for the absence last week, Thursday. I'm going to also mention something else as it relates to our radio feed. But give me a few seconds and I'll explain that to you as well. But we reminded each other last week, Monday it was, about the past, and we reflected on the times when we, as Kititians and Nevisians, boasted. We boasted that we lived in one of the freest countries of the world. We stressed the point, however, that in the last 6 months, in particular, citizens of our beloved Federation are experiencing a level of intimidation, fear, and victimization by all standards, and judging and reflecting on all governments, we have not seen this level of intimidation, fear, and victimization in many, many years. I also made the point, and even as I speak with you, could you imagine, there are certain words that I am forbidden to use. I can't even tell you the words I am by order not to call. But someday I'll tell you, someday soon as well. Because remember, about 2 weeks ago, I was served with an ex parte injunction filed at the instance of one Garth Lucien Wilkin. I took the opportunity to explain to you that an ex parte injunction is an order made by the court when the person applying for the injunction asks for a hearing without informing the other side that he is or she is even going to court. Yes. So Garth Lucien Wilkin asked for a hearing without informing me that he was going to court. But all I am at liberty to say at this time is that my lawyers have filed the appropriate response to the claimant, Garth Lucien Wilkin. But in the interim, I received a communication from the Federation Media Group Limited, Win FM or Win Media 98.9 FM, that informed me of a decision to no longer air Straight Talk due to recent developments as of Monday, 23rd January. The Federation Media Group Limited, I was told, received a letter that would have legal ramifications if it continued to air Straight Talk. However, we will be more than open to reconsider re-airing the show, the letter continued, once we have reviewed the details and all legal matters have settled in favor of it. So you must observe by now, my Straight Talk family, that all attempts have been made to suppress freedom of information in our beloved Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. What I found quite interesting, though, is the annual returns of March 2021 filed by the FMG Limited, filed by Win FM Media 98.9, with the Financial Services Regulatory Commission, the FSRC. The particulars of the two directors named in the form I found rather interesting. The particulars of the two directors named in the form filed by the Federation Media Group Limited, Win Media 98.9 FM. It named in the form Garth Lucien Wilkin, and suffice to say, his uncle, my good friend. So tonight, we are only on social media, Facebook and YouTube. But I want to implore you, and for those who may not have access to social media, I want to implore you to get up to date. Do not allow anyone to stifle free expression in our country. And those of you who are right now on Facebook and or YouTube, share the link. Send it to all your friends and family. send it around the world in the name of freedom of expression, which is one of the fundamental rights guaranteed by our Constitution. Imagine, in St. Kitts and Nevis, the enjoyment of my freedom of expression, which includes freedom to hold opinions without interference, freedom to receive ideas and information on Straight Talk without interference, freedom to communicate ideas and information on your program Straight Talk without interference, whether the communication is to the public generally or to any person or class of persons, and freedom from interference with such a communication. Now, my Straight Talk family, I am not forbidden, however, to speak about our young Prime Minister called Terence Michael Drew, who obviously has no clue on how to govern, as everything just seemed to be going wrong. And some people did not appreciate me playing the soundbite by the former Deputy Prime Minister. But I crave your indulgence, and I will play it again, because something or everything seems to be going wrong.
In a recessionary year, not just for St. Kitts and Nevis, but in countries globally, there is an associated increase in cost of living. For this reason, we understood and outlined a series of relief measures to help individuals and families weather the dry months. The new administration did some of the same in its campaign. Here we are, again, some 5 or so months later, with energy crises and grocery hikes. None of the election promises have been fulfilled. Opportunities have not been created in employment or incentives. The new administration had announced the capping of fuel. Nothing done. Healthcare, no improvement in healthcare to date. The water situation is worse. The hospital is out of water. The Cardin home out of water. Homes out of water for more than a day, including during the height of the Christmas and Carnival season. This is unacceptable in modern society. Governments are in office to help solve national problems. Governments are put in place to care about people.
And that is so instructive in terms of the role of governments. They are in office to provide services, provide or to ensure that the public goods are provided. Now, 6 months ago, the Federation went to the polls and elected the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party that had 6 months earlier elected a new leader who now heads government as Prime Minister. So whereas the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party replaced its leader of nigh 30 years or more, who served as Prime Minister for approximately 20 of those years, many who went to vote, I am sure, did not expect Terence Michael Drew to win his seat, much less to become Prime Minister. But here we are, with an inexperienced leader as Prime Minister, and many people are asking and pleading to give him a chance. Give the man a chance, man, is what many of them say. But many of us would have learned that behind every successful leader, there is usually a capable team and many followers. Some, like I said, are begging for a chance. But this leader is so strong-headed and continues to boast that he and his team are all experts. That's what he says. They are all experts.
5th August 2022. We presented to the people 7 pillars on which we will lead the government, and we are on that path. We said that good governance will be the foundation for everything else to be built on, and we are also serious about it. We are not a perfect administration. We will not be perfect. But I want to say to our people that we'll be working very hard and we will be sincere. And the opportunities that present themselves for us to really advance, we will take care of them. We expect challenges. We expect setbacks. But I want you to know that we'll keep our feet on the gas pedal to move our country and our people forward. I want to thank every single one of the ministers in the country. They are hard workers, experts in various ministries. That is what is really aiding this young administration to accomplish so much in such short time. We are not guessing. We are not making up as we go. We have a plan. The plan is coming to fruition. So I want to say to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, thank you once again for choosing the St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party to lead the government. We will work hard to make you proud. We will work hard so you can say, yes, this was the right choice. And as we continue to go forward, you'll definitely see the work on this very hard-working team, the A team. A couple of things that we are addressing quickly: the minimum wage.
Hard-working team. So here we are, my Street Dog family, with a team of experts. After being promised a new day and a better way. But truth be told, my Straight Dog family, what we have is a new day and a worse way. And everyone is asking, does Prime Minister Drew have a clue? Because behind all good leadership as well, there is good governance. But our Prime Minister is not investing in good governance structures. And mark my word, that will surely undermine his leadership, and he will continue to lose his followers. In a democracy, for example, cooperation between the government and the opposition helps to establish good governance in every country. It helps with proper management of the state and its resources. It seeks to protect the interests of people from all classes. Now, the good governance I speak about is participatory, meaning it provides opportunity for individual participation, irrespective of your political allegiance. But that's not happening here in St. Kitts and Nevis, not at all. If you're PAM, go home. If you're PLP, go home. If you're Labour, replace PAM and PLP. That's what's happening in our country. Good governance is consensus-oriented and is demonstrated by an agenda that seeks to address the many different needs, the many different perspectives and expectations of a diverse citizenry. Decisions need to be made in a manner that reflects a deep understanding of historical, cultural, and social contexts of every community. group decision-making processes in which participants develop and decide on proposals with the aim or requirement of acceptance by all. Ownership is what it is called. People must be given the ownership of these decisions. Good governance speaks to being accountable. We expect that you will justify your actions and or your decisions. We expect you to be answerable to the people. You must be transparent, free from pretense or deceit. Look at the PAP. You came and you deceived the country. You said 7,000 people won the PAP. And you thought, and you played your politics with that. But here you come now, and your deputy prime minister is now telling the country that 12,000 people are on the PAP. How much would that cost the country when you cried foul about 7,000 people on the poverty alleviation program? You must be frank, readily understood, responsive. But would you say, my straight dog family, that the Terence Jew government has responded to the challenges of the country in a quick or positive way? No, I hear you say. Post-COVID, what are you doing? Is this government effective and efficient? After 6 months, the Terence Jew administration should have identified the priorities of the people, what needs to be done at first in the country. That's effectiveness. And then find a way to deliver to the people in an efficient manner. You must be equitable and inclusive, where everyone, regardless of politics, are respected. Someone was saying to me today, in the last 7 years under Team Unity, nobody lost their jobs. People had a right to express their views, a right to associate. But no, nobody is respected now, valued, and has equal access to all opportunities. No, you must be labor if you want to have equal access to all opportunities in my country today. And that is sad. And more importantly, the Terence Jew administration must follow the rule of law. When you look at the arbitrary exercise of power by the chief legal advisor to the government, who took me to court without my knowledge, and I'm restrained to use certain words in the country of my birth, where my fundamental rights and freedoms are guaranteed by our Constitution. But that's just for a moment in time. But what I can say is that there's a famous quotation by Edgar J. Mon, which goes something like this: a lie has speed, but truth has endurance. And I will say nothing further except to say that the truth will come to light, and the country will determine whether Garth Lucien Wilkin is fit to be called the Attorney General and Minister of Justice and Legal Affairs in this country. Sooner rather than later, the country will have to determine that fact.
I'm not afraid of anybody, and I was saying that straight up. I'm not scared of anybody. I was hired to do a job, and I'm going to do that job. So some people should be shaking in their boots right now.
Who is going to be shaking in their boots? Imagine a man who should uphold the law, having taken an oath and spoke about ill will against his own people. Remember this? He said this. he took this oath.
Oath of office. I, Garth Lucian Wilkin, do swear that I will honor, uphold, and preserve the Constitution of St. Christopher and Nevis, and the law, that I will conscientiously, impartially, and to the best of my abilities, discharge my duties as Senator in the National Assembly, and do right to all manner of people, without fear or favor, affection or ill will. So help me God.
I might be publicly embarrassing some people, which might actually be worse than going to prison. I'm contemplating whether I should do that, and I'm minded more so about 70-30 to embarrass some people who might not have been corrupt, but were, I don't want to use the word I used earlier, but not very friendly towards our treasury, and I'm not going to tolerate that, and I'm going to embarrass some people.
That's the new Jew rule of law example. My people, health, water, electricity, jobs, security, and roads are all core government services that are not being delivered by the Jew administration. Indeed, critics accuse this government of driving the car in the rearview mirror, because every time they talk, all he talks about Timothy Harris this and Timothy Harris that, or what the Team Unity administration did not do in 7 years, instead of focusing on the people's needs and delivering the core services. People don't want to know about 4 years ago on water this, our patches about water. People want water now, right now. Soon my water is going to be turned off. Everybody's water turned off. Find a solution to the problem we're asking. And don't bring that company, either, Beda, whatever it is. They won't extract water. They're just going to extract money from the government. The Jew Labor Administration is more about making fancy announcements rather than implementation. And critics believe that it is not focused on, neither will it be good at, delivery of the core services. Many continue to ask, does Prime Minister Jew have a clue about running a government, and or it is sheer incompetence? Many people have asked that question, and in time, I'm sure we will establish the right answer. But many people are saying this, like this dread from St. Peter's.
We're making excuses for incompetence. If Dr. Joe lives in Monkey Hill for all those years, no going in and asking me to support him, to represent me in my community. Doesn't he know the problems in the community? Or shouldn't he know? He had the answers. Now you're saying what? He just come and give them a chance when you are vying for office. When you're saying to the people you have the answers, the people give you the work. TDC would have turned him away. But it seems that really what happened is that it was an offside goal, the Labour score. So now the Ghani, the people seeing nothing happening. Monkey Hill roads, water gone, can't get water. The representative move out the community, gotta live in the next community. No wonder the roads can't fix. If he was living in Monkey Hill still, Incompetence.
Incompetence is one of the words being bandied about. The Prime Minister, with an inflated ego since coming into office, quickly moved out from amongst his people and lost touch. The roads, the water. Imagine this.
I just want to say that the water issue in St. Peter's has been resolved. I went to St. Peter's myself with the water engineer and the PS, and the issue was addressed. So in the interim, we had sent the fire truck had gone there, the water truck had gone there to meet the needs of the people there in the area of St. Peter's. So that is resolved. I want to thank the guys at the water department for their tremendous work, the PS and the water engineer, and also the Honorable Conway Maynard for his leadership in that ministry.
Could you imagine that? Which water issues resolved? I hear you ask. But as many have also asked, does Prime Minister Drew have a clue? Prime Minister Drew not only quickly moved out from amongst his people into a gated community, but he has now found a buddy who borrowed our money and after 10 years is seeking debt forgiveness. When I asked about this sinister plan, if you listen to the response the Prime Minister gave, you will say poor Prime Minister Drew doesn't have a clue. When you listen to this response to a straightforward question, this is what our Prime Minister had to say.
Christoph Harbour situation. I know the reporters asked about it last week and you said the government was not writing off any debt. But when people are bandying about the talk that the debt is going to be written off, it means that the debt probably is not being serviced. Can you address that for us? Because remember, they borrowed this money from the CBI, and as far as I'm concerned, they have a right to know about it. So let us know if it's up to date, if they're honoring the obligation to the Federation.
Right. I want to thank the caller for her call, and these are very important questions. When it comes to the issue of Christoph Harbour, there is not a loan agreement. We have an investment in Christoph Harbour. So if Christoph Harbour is presently valued at about $600 million, the country owns a third of, we earn 30% of that. So calculate that, EK. 30% of 600 million was 200 million.
200 million, my
so
lord.
we own the country now, indirectly, but the SIDF owns about $200 million of Christoph Harbour. We can decide what we want to do with it. The truth is we had put in 16 million. As a matter of fact, there is a plan that we can get that in land and sell the land and make, SIDF can sell the land and make a profit. So I want to let people know it's not a loan, it's an investment, and we own 30% of Christoph Harbour, and we can decide how we can dispense of it. However, I would say that we are in a very good position. Right. So I want people to start thinking with them. So the caller spoke about a loan, but just to inform her, there's no loan arrangement here. There's an investment. The SIDF owns 30% of what you see over there, so which is a lot of money.
Have the infrastructure develop even further?
Yes.
And in the next 20, 30 years, it can cost more?
But it will cost more, because if we invest more in it, it can reach up to $1 billion, which means the country will earn about $300 million. Right? So I just wanted to clarify that when it comes to loan to investment. So you do have an investment there. And in the long run, when you look at an investment that you invest, let's say $60 million US, and now you're looking that you might have close to 80 million. I mean, if you say 16 to 80, that's like a good return.
That's a good piece of sugar.
That's a good return. And that is what I want our people to start thinking about investments.
Right.
The government can decide, do we just take our $16 million and go? Take it in land, sell the land, make a profit. We have multiple options, but the government is in a strong position. Well, the SIDF is in a strong position. Let me put it that way.
My Straight Talk family, this is not a laughing matter. I say respectfully that our country is in trouble, as Prime Minister Drew does not have a clue. Because to say that Christopher Harbour did not have a loan is a pathological lie. And this seems like what we can describe as the chronic behavior in which the Prime Minister habitually or compulsively lies, or he just don't know. Prime Minister Drew seems to have an irresistible urge to lie, or in fairness to him, Prime Minister Drew does not have a clue. And some of you may say, give him a chance, he's new. Give him a chance. He never managed anything before. But we told the facts before, right here on Straight Talk. I have seen a copy of the investment agreement, so too the loan agreement. My Straight Talk family, Grant Thornton is one of the world's largest professional services networks of independent accounting and consulting member firms that provide assurance, tax, and advisory services to privately held businesses, public interest entities, and public sector entities. Grant Thornton is the world's 7th largest by revenue and 6th largest by number of employees. My Straight Talk family, when we look at the information, and I have a copy of a Grant Thornton analysis of the KHT Joint Venture LLC, and they took what is called a valuation approach. And the valuation approach in its first step, and it did in February 2017, or it was requested in February 2017, that an independent estimate valuation of KHT Joint Venture LLC as at December the 31st, 2016. And they did the evaluation report. And just to give you an excerpt in terms of the approach, the first step in valuing KHT, and the principal purpose of KHT is to operate as a real estate development company with the sole project being the Christopher Harbour development in St. Kitts. And the first step, as I was saying, it did an analysis concentrated on the following assets: real estate held for sale. And it reads, we have determined the fair market value of these assets by performing a discounted cash flow DCF approach based on forecasts provided by management. In determining the discount rate for the assets, it continues, we utilize the weighted average cost of capital asset pricing model method. The capital have determined that the fair market value of this asset group is in a range of $33,450,000 to $39,630,000. Future golf course. We have determined the fair market value of this asset, performing a DCF analysis based on when the costs are expected to be incurred. We then discounted the amounts used as a WACC rate, that's the weighted average cost of capital. Based on this, we have determined that the fair market value of this asset, the golf course, is approximately $28,660,000. Future clubhouses, we have determined the fair market value of this asset based on the WACC rate that Grant Thornton determined that the fair market value of this asset is approximately $7,580,000. And my Straight Talk family, let's fast track to the valuation conclusion. And the valuation conclusion is something I bring to the attention of our Prime Minister, Terence Michael Jew. The valuation conclusion presented by Grant Thornton on March the 3rd, 23rd, 2017 reads, and I quote, "Once the assets are adjusted to their fair market value and all liabilities are deducted, including the notes payable owing to Derby Caribbean LLC Derby and the St. Kitts and Nevis Sugar Industry Diversification Foundation, the SIDF, we have determined the on-block fair market value of KHT to be in a range of $28,104,000 to $35,424,000. It continues, and listen carefully, Prime Minister Joe. SIDF owns 30% of the outstanding shares of KHT. Thus, their pro rata rate equity value is in a range of $8,431,000 to $10,627,000. For further clarification, it should be noted that this is the equity value after the related party notes mentioned above and have been fully repaid. It continues, and this is very interesting, my Straight Talk family. SIDF is a 30% shareholder in KHT, and Derby is a 70% shareholder. Due to this, SIDF is in a minority position, and thus the equity position is subject to certain discounts. Based on this, we have determined a minority discount of 15 to 20% for the SIDF position, which results in the fair market value in a range of $6,745,000 to $8,502,000 based on a 20% discount, and $7,167,000 to $9,033,000 based on a 15% discount. And it continues, my Straight Talk family, and concludes. The total compensation received by SIDF for the loan and equity based on the above is as follows. Equity value, $6,745,000 as a low, to a high of $8 million or $8.5 million, my Straight Talk family. So the outstanding loan, $30,833,933,000, beg your pardon, $943, giving us a total compensation to be received by the SIDF of some $20,578,943. So for Drew to say there is no loan, my Straight Talk family, I have a copy of the loan agreement. The cameras perhaps are not Yes, we can perhaps see the agreement signed. Signed. That's the agreement signed. Loan agreement dated November 11, 2013. Loan agreement, it reads, between Christopher Harbour Lending Company Limited as borrower and St. Kitts Nevis Sugar Fund Industry Diversification Foundation as lender. So how on earth can the Prime Minister misguide the country and say there is no loan? There's a $16 million loan never paid by Christopher Harbour, signed by some Steve D. Heboa, the authorized representative for Christopher Harbour Lending Company Limited, and Terence Crosman, authorized representative for St. Kitts and Nevis Sugar Industry Diversification Foundation. Jew, Prime Minister Jew, doesn't have a clue. He talks without information. If he doesn't understand, I will avail myself and have a chat with you, Prime Minister Jew. But I'm saddened when I hear you talk the way you talk. I'm saddened. Because the SIDF loan is one thing. But what about the National Bank loan, the St. Kitts Nevis Anguilla National Bank loans? $16 million on one account and $6 million, $22 million owed to the National Bank. So that lady was right when she asked the question. It means they're not servicing their debt if you're looking for forgiveness. They have not paid 1 cent on the $22 million owed to the National Bank of St. Kitts Nevis and Anguilla. Crosman is now the managing director. Crosman administered the loan at the SIDF, so we are keeping our eyes on them. So don't be fooled, my straight dog family. Don't be fooled about there was no loan. There were 3 loans that they never paid. At the same time, they want to walk back the agreement. Mr. Darby agreed to transfer 400 acres of unencumbered land for the money owed to SIDF. I was there. I sat in the meeting. Darby to my left, his son to my right. At the same time, the expected government to encourage the St. Kitts Nevis Anguilla National Bank to give them more time to pay back the US $16 million loan on which they have defaulted since May 23rd, 2018, and to encourage the bank to lend them more money. How is that going to work, Prime Minister Jew? The Darby family don't want any more debt. At the same time, they want the government to help them to get the bank to lend the money. The bank had already foreclosed on them. So, let us see what's going to happen. My straight dog family. Prime Minister Jew won't fool the country as long as I am here and I have breath in my body. Asked to address the high cost of living, Prime Minister Jew had a convoluted response for this question, my straight dog family. Straightforward question, but convoluted response. Listen to this.
With regard to the minimum wage, I know you talked last week to the news reporters and told them that, you're working on it and that's very good. But with the cost of living just increasing all the time, what is the government doing about controlling, the cost of living in terms of pricing?
When it comes to the cost of living, and the caller is right, we have been doing a number of significant things to temper the cost of living. For example, energy. And I want to speak in energy in the broad context, in terms of at the pump and what Skellig does. We look at what we can invest to temper the prices. So we look at the pump, it's about 13 something now.
One is 13, one is 16.
Right. I think this is right. So what we're dealing with is the gas itself. And we recognize that comes down to some extent. But we are really investing a lot to subsidize Skillet. There's a cost called the FDC. We pay that for everybody. So your Skillet bill is significantly lower because we invest about $9 million per month in Skillet to deal with the cost of living. So I want people to know that we are already investing a lot. When it comes to the basic food, we are investing already a lot in making sure that those food prices don't go up too high. However, we will keep analyzing the situation, and we will keep doing what we have to do to temper the cost of basic goods. But we are investing a lot already. That is what I wanted to put.
My Straight Talk family, I told you convoluted and not factual. He said FDC, but I think he really meant FSC, which is the fuel surcharge. The fuel surcharge is not $9 million per month. So far from the truth. The fuel surcharge gets up to just over $3 million per month. The fuel cost, the cost to procure fuel to run the generators, runs you at about $9 million a month. But what has he said? What has he really said? It baffles me. Because it is always extremely complicated and difficult to follow Dr. Drew or Prime Minister Drew because he does not have a clue. The Prime Minister needs better information on the likely scale and extent of the uncertainty, of the unpredictability, and of the complexity of the geopolitics around us. The looming recession in the United States of America, the post-COVID recovery, the lingering Russian-Ukraine war and its fallout. The latest we are hearing is about a possible war between the USA and China in the next 2 years. Well, we got to be wary about the leadership we have now. But these are the realities that surround us and continues to negatively impact energy prices, supply chain issues, economic downturn all over the world. The Prime Minister needs to better understand these issues if he is to better manage the effects on us all as a federation. It is not good enough that the Prime Minister doesn't have answers to basic questions on health, on water, electricity, jobs, security, and roads. And all of these are core government services that are not being delivered. In some cases, not at all. The issue of our crime, that is something we are concerned about. I understand you hustled the meeting in panic because for months you ignored the National Security Advisor. You had your own security advisor. You wouldn't believe who they are. But my Straight Talk family, I've tarried long. But I believe we can only conclude that we are facing a new day and the worst way. And the whole country is asking, does Prime Minister Drew have a clue? That's my story tonight, my Straight Talk family, and I am not going to change it. Tell me, what do you think? I will open the lines and entertain your calls, if there are any calls. Again, we're not streaming or we're not connected to Win FM. They are suppressing free speech in this country. But the lines are available at 8, that should be 646-829-6672 and 869-662-3617. And both lines are accessible via WhatsApp, my Straight Talk family. You can get both lines via WhatsApp, so don't spend a cent. You can call me WhatsApp, and you are free on any one of these lines. 646-829-6672 or 869-662-6672. The email address is straighttalkpatches@gmail.com. That's STRAIGHTTALKPATCHES. That's one word, at gmail.com. I just want to implore you, though, that when I open the lines, I'm doing so in a few seconds, my Straight Talk family. And I anticipate that you will respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned. Let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. Let us ensure that the things we say and or do will be beneficial to all concerned. And in the process of doing and or saying those things, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. My Straight Dog family, that's how we're going to do it tonight. And I want to again implore you to share the link. Don't mind they try to stifle free expression. We will stand firm, because our day will come, and all the truth will set us free, my Straight Talk family. Only the truth will set us free. We have looked at the issues. We looked at the just last week, we looked at the victimization, and so many people never believed. And someone sent me some information about their own victimization. And you wouldn't believe how people have suffered in so short a space of time in this country, my Straight Dog family. And we have to speak out. We all must speak out against it. Stand up, stand firm. Do not be afraid. Because once you are speaking the truth, you need not worry whatsoever. Once you speak in the truth, you need not worry. Again, my Straight Talk family, the email address is straighttalkpatches@gmail.com. The numbers are 829 or 646. That's the area code for overseas line. 829, beg your pardon. Let me get that right for you. I'm sorry about that, my Straight Dog family. It is 646-829-6672. And that number as well is accessible via WhatsApp. Even with your local number, just download that number and send a WhatsApp to the overseas line or the local line as well. You can access us by WhatsApp. St. Kitts and Nevis is under a curse, reads this email. The Prime Minister and his deputy has the spirit of Asmodeus. It is amazing to see how some church leaders created the impression that they are so holy and now showing their red colors. Can you find the tape with Isaiah Phillips saying Jew is more his prime minister than anyone else? Look at how these pastors and their children suck in labor breasts. Isaiah's daughter is now a minister. The village pastor following the money, and others out there themselves just getting the crumbs at Labour's table. But don't expect them to talk about the Asmodeus Prime Minister and his deputy, because they are afraid Labour abuse them for the double lives they are living. Let the church talk about the homosexuality in the nation, reads this email. My Straight Dog family, this other email reads, Marcelo Liebert, as a politician, should never be considered for the office of Governor General. Patches, when will civil society of the Chamber, the Bar Association, the Christian Council, and Evangelical Association address the wrong of Jew seeking to elevate a politician? Marcelo Liebert was served as Minister of a former Labour administration to the office of Governor General. Jew is sick. Jew killing the spirit of our nation. The Governor General must at least seem neutral and above petty party politics. Marcella was just recently in active elective politics until Powell beat her at the polls. Now she's been forced on us as a possible Governor General. This is criminal and we should not accept this. Read this email. My Straight Talk family, if you have just joined us, we are looking at our caption tonight, A New Day and a Worse Way. Does Prime Minister Jew have a clue? We ask. We ask that question because his response to a caller on a program left a lot of St. Kitts and Nevis baffling. And this was the question.
Christoph Harbour situation. I know the reporters asked about it last week and you said the government was not writing off any debt. But when people are bandying about the talk that the debt is going to be written off, it means that the debt probably is not being serviced. Can you address that for us? Because remember, they borrowed this money from the CBI, and as far as I'm concerned, they have a right to know about it. So let us know if it's up to date, if they're honoring the obligation to the Federation.
Right. I want to thank the caller for her call, and these are very important questions. When it comes to the issue of Christoph Harbour, there is not a loan agreement. We have an investment in Christoph Harbour. So if Christoph Harbour is presently valued at about $600 million, the country owns a third of, we earn 30% of that. So calculate that, EK. 30% of 600 million. Was 200 million.
200 million, my
so
lord.
we own the country now, not the country, well, indirectly, but the SIDF owns about $200 million of Christoph Harbour. We can decide what we want to do with it. The truth is we had put in 16 million. As a matter of fact, there is a plan that we can get that in land and sell the land.
My Straight Dog family, it's really sad when a prime minister can come to the nation and really mislead the nation as Prime Minister Jew did just last week. But he has done so on so many occasions. And you ask yourselves, or we ask ourselves, is he deliberate? Or is he just talking off the top because he has a tongue in his head? But if he's talking as a prime minister, then he must come clean, inform himself, beg your pardon, on the issue, and address the issue. Because the whole world is listening to Prime Minister Jew. And when Jew can come to the nation and misguide the nation that the SIDF has no, or Christoph Harbour, beg your pardon, had no loan from the SIDF. That is so far from the truth. And the facts are there. If the Prime Minister asks the questions, he will get the answers. But to come and talk gibberish, it is saddening for a Prime Minister. Yes, my Straight Dog family, as I said earlier, Prime Minister Jew has been leader of the Labour Party now for just about a year, if that many months. And my straight talk family, 6 months ago, it's just over a year. 6 months ago, the Federation went to the polls and elected the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party that had 6 months earlier elected a new leader who now heads government as Prime Minister. Now, the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party replaces leader, the Right Honourable Denzel Llewellyn Douglas. His leader of nigh 30 years or more, who served as Prime Minister for approximately 20 of those years. And many who went to vote, I am positively certain, never expected Terence Michael Drew to even win his seat, much less to become Prime Minister. But here we are saddled with an inexperienced leader and Prime Minister. Though many people are pleading, many people are asking to give him a chance. But his own constituent had this to say, and it's telling. It's really, really something we must listen up to.
We're making excuses for incompetence. If Dr. Joe lives Monkey Hill for all those years, no going in and asking me to support him, to represent me in my community. Doesn't he know the problems in the community? Or shouldn't he know? He had the answers. Now you're saying what? He just come and give them a chance when you are vying for office. When you're saying to the people you have the answers, the people give you the work. TDC would have turned him away. But it seems that really what happened is that it was an offside goal, the Labour score. So now the Ghani, the people seeing nothing happening. Monkey Hill roads, water gone, can't get water. The representative move out the community, gotta live in the next community. No wonder the roads can't fix. If he was living in Monkey Hill still, living in constituency 8 and driving on the roads, and he would know, and Miss Byron or whoever would have to apologize for incompetence.
And that's the views of his constituents. And my family, like I said, many are begging for a chance. But this leader is so bullheaded, strong-headed, and continues to boast that he and his team are all experts. So here we are, after being promised a new day and a better way. But the truth be told, my straight dog family, what we have is a new day and a worse way. And everyone is asking, and we can understand why. Does Prime Minister Drew have a clue? Because behind all good leadership as well, there is good governance. But our Prime Minister is not investing in good governance structures. My people, we have to sit up. We have to call a spade a spade. And we have to say it like it is. As I mentioned to you earlier, to peddle the nonsense, and he did it on 2 occasions now, that SIDF did not grant a loan to Christopher Harbour is so absurd. And I read to you earlier, for those who may have just joined us, I read earlier an analysis from Grant Thornton, one of the world's largest professional services networks of independent accounting and consulting member firms that provide assurance, tax and advisory services to privately held businesses, public interest entities, and public sector entities. Grant Thornton was engaged and prepared an independent estimate valuation of KHT Joint Venture LLC as at December 31st, 2016. And it reads in part, further to the preparation of our valuation report, you have requested that we provide this letter summarizing our valuation, methodology, approach, and conclusion. We believe it reads that our analysis must be considered as a whole, and this letter should be read in conjunction with our December 31, 2016 estimate valuation report, dated March 16, 2017. It went on, my straight dog family. Under the Canadian Institute of Chartered Business Valuators professional standards, there are 3 types of valuation reports. The reports are distinguished by the scope of review, amount of disclosure, and level of assurance provided in the conclusion. A comprehensive valuation report provides the highest level of assurance, and a calculation valuation report provides the lowest level of assurance. The estimate valuation report falls between a calculation and comprehensive report. Be completed, it continues, an estimate valuation report for KHT, the CBV standards define an estimated valuation report as a report that contains a conclusion as to the value of shares, assets, or an interest in a business that is based on limited review, analysis, and corroboration of relevant information, and generally set out in a less detailed valuation report. It speaks to valuation methodology, beg your pardon, and it says the principal purpose of KHT is to operate as a real estate development company with a sole project being the Christopher Harbour development in St. Kitts. Therefore, we have determined the fair market value of KHT using an asset-based valuation approach. In this approach, we adjust the net book value of each profile asset, each specific asset, beg your pardon, and liability to their fair market value in order to determine the equity of the company. This is a common approach to value companies similar to KHT, whose primary purpose is a real estate development company with one sole project. And in terms of the conclusion, or valuation conclusion, which must be of interest to Prime Minister Joe. And I trust when he would have read this he would come back to the country and correct himself and stop speaking nonsense or garbage in the public market. The valuation conclusion reads, and I quote, once the assets above are adjusted to their fair market value and all liabilities are deducted, including the notes, payable owing to Derby Caribbean LLC, Derby, and the St. Kitts and Nevis Sugar Industry Diversification Foundation, SIDF, we have determined the unblocked fair market value of KHT to be in a range of $28 million to $35 million. What's $600 million you're talking about, Prime Minister Joe? This is a Grant Thornton report. SIDF is a 30% shareholder in KHT, and Derby is a 70% shareholder. Due to this, it continues, SIDF is in a minority position, and thus the equity position is subject to certain discounts. Based on this, Grant Thornton continued, we have determined a minority discount of 15% to 20% for the SIDF position, which results in their fair market value being in a range of $6.7 million to $8.5 million, based on a 20% and $7.167 million to $9.033 million based on a 15% discount. My Straight Dog family, Jew should stop repeating the nonsense about there was the loan, because in fact, a loan agreement was signed on November 11, 2013 that speaks to a $16 million loan granted to the SIDF, signed by the then CEO of the SIDF, Terence Crosman, who, as I said, coincidentally, is now the managing director of the St. Kitts Nevis Anguilla National Bank, and we have to be careful because something is up, my Straight Dog family. Good night, Mr. Liebert reads this email. When Dr. Jew is asked hard questions, such as to give an account as to how many CBI passports he has signed off since he took office, he gets angry. You can see the tension in his face as he speaks with arrogance and shakes his head as he speaks. He speaks with so much tension and arrogance, but what he's saying is next to nothing. But you need to understand that not only Dr. Drew gives instructions to send home certain PLP and PAM civil servants, but you need to also know that many PLP and PAM supporters who they have no grounds to terminate are also suffering in silence on their jobs with a wicked level of victimization, reads that email. And yes, you can again access the numbers. The numbers are 869-662-663, beg your pardon, 6672, or 646-829-6672. Caller, you live. Hello, caller.
Mr. Straight Talk.
How are you, my brother?
Mr. Straight Talk, I've been looking for you for the longest while, and me and my brother was talking tonight, and he says, listen, I said, did you put on the radio to try to get Straight Talk? He said, Straight Talk ain't on. I said, what do you mean Straight Talk ain't on? He said, well, me ain't, no, but I think he probably on something, but I I said, guy, me have my phone. Let me go check my phone and see. And when I put my phone, I could see Monday night. I said, but this is straight talk, really? And I couldn't believe what I'm seeing. But there you was. So straight talk, I want to thank you, see, because I tell people that the only thing that Labour gets Labour to protect is victimization. Who fixed the Deepwater Harbour? PLP.
True.
So what Labour going to do? And the people so glad for Labour that they don't worry about nothing. They just want Labour to rule. And Labour know what they do. So they're going to just keep themselves at ease. They're not going to run to them and look, now we do this and now we get this done. No. No. Look at all the biggest project who open up think it. Pam. Who spread think it's more? PLP. So what they got? Not it done gone that far, no. So all they have to do pick up. But no. Look what he's doing. He's saying he don't do this, he don't do that, and nothing done yet. Now they supposed to start working. It's their time to show you what they got to do. But hey, they vote them in, let them have fun. Just like, you know what's so funny about everybody was praising Joe Biden. And Mr. When you see liberalism and communism and socialism, don't want them in office. You know, when I check my thing today and I say, you see what Biden done? And I've been saying to people, Obama was a liberalism, communism, socialism. It's same thing with Biden. And I don't know if our prime minister is going to do that. But where he's walking, he getting close. Mr. Strater, I think it's got to get together and throw Mark Grantley from the opposition. They can do it. Because Mark Grantley now criticized the government for nothing. I mean, if you didn't say what Sean Mitchell said here, I would not never know something go on like that. So think it have to get together and do something and say, look, we want this thing to change. We know we have man, now we vote for who I want to be a position. They have to stand up and get this thing straight. Either call an election or do something, get somebody to stand up and get this thing straight. Because this thing now go right. Mr. Strater, you continue to do what you do, see? Because I was surprised when I see you there and I could still get to talk to you. So you do what you got to do. God bless you. See you when I see you.
See you when I see you, my brother. How's New York? Okay, he's gone. My brother is gone. But yes, we do have to, we have to speak out, first of all. They're trying to suppress freedom of expression in our country. But we're not going to stand by idly and allow that to happen. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Okay. Yeah. Good evening, Dr. Ian Touches Libod.
How are you, my dear culture? How is Mansur?
I am good, man. I am good. Yeah, I am good. Hold on there. The phone here, man. Sorry about that.
I see you call my overseas line. Did you try the local one, though?
Oh, the one you're working?
But it's okay, but both are working.
Okay, let me go to it then.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, my brother. Yes.
I'll come back.
The local line should be working. There's see no reason why it's not working. I trust it is. And like I said, you can access it via WhatsApp as well. So both lines should be working. The numbers, again, I'll be surprised if the local one is not working. We had some difficulties last week, Monday. And just to remind our listeners and tell the world that Straight Talk is not going any place. We'll find a way to get to the people, even though they have tried to suppress the information. But let's go back to the lines. Call you live.
Okay, Patches, thank you for your guidance.
Yes, it's working, yes.
Now, I want to say good evening to everybody who listening to your show on YouTube or whatever it is. And Patches, thank God for a person like you who are a politician. And let me say good night to Honorable Sean Richard and good night to Prime Minister Dr. Harris. Sean, I love you. and a lot of us who supported unity and PLP. We love you and we are behind you. I am with you, east, west, north, south. And I'm depending on you, as usual, when you enter that parliament next week or whenever it is. And that rude boy from number 3 named Conway Maynard, anytime he try to get up and try to cut across you, to confuse you, do not sit down. You stand up. So what you have to say? Because every member in parliament have the right to stand up and have the presentation undisturbed. And to that Speaker of the House who encourages that little boy from up the village, Conway, to get up and cut cross Prime Minister Harris every time Dr. Harris get up to speak. He really go cut across trying to confuse Dr. Harris. But I am saying to the two of you, when you are going parliament, don't let none of them in there distract you all. Do not sit down when you all turn to speak. You continue talking, and if Congress want to talk over all when all you're talking, well, let the house smash up there. Because the whole world who will be looking on TV and listening, they can see the hypocrisy in that house. From the speaker, come down to Congress. Dr. Douglas, I respect you and a lot of people respect you. Everybody got the bad ways and the good ways. But what I've seen here with the leader now of the Labour Party, he's worse than you and Donald Trump up in America when it comes to lie. That is when you went in there in the office. One of the first things you did, you went over in Sadler's and you increased the size of the water pipe so that everybody in Sadler's could get water. No water locking off over there. So when they come talking about the water is fixed and all kind of foolishness about Monkey Hill got water and all the place no water locking up. They lie. They lie, totally lie. And when you said that on August 5th, the electorate gave the election to the Labour Party, no, we didn't give them. They bought the Labour Party bought the election. That's why they're in there, because if everything went fair, they would not have been in there. And I will come back again. As I remember things, I'll come back.
Thank you very much, my dear brother Culture. Yes, he did say that elections are bought in St. Kitts. But truth be told, my Straight Dog family, that we have a situation in St. Kitts and Nevis. And like I said, they're trying to stifle discussion. But we're going to reach out to the people using the means that are available to us. We will reach you. You know, my Straight Dog family, as I said earlier, for those who are not hearing me on Win FM, we understand why. As I said earlier, for those who may have just joined me as well, you know, I am forbidden to use certain words. The time gonna come when I'm gonna tell you what words I can't use. I cannot use a particular word, believe it or not. When I say it, I smile. Well, that's the court order, and I will never defy the court's order. But sometime I will tell you, I'm sure I'll be in a position to tell you lots of things that I just cannot speak about now. And as I said on my last program, we spoke about fear, political fear, and victimization. It spread right across the Federation. We reminded each other about the past, and we reflected on the times when we boasted as Kittitians and Nevisians that we live in one of the freest countries of the world. We stressed the point, however, that in the last 6 months in particular, citizens of our beloved Federation are experiencing a level of intimidation, fear, and victimization we have never seen. Such fear, intimidation, and victimization meted out by any government in the way that is being meted out today. I made the point as well, and even as I speak with you, as I said, there are certain words I am forbidden to use. I can't use the words because I would defy the court's order, and I would not defy a court's order. But I'm forbidden to use these words, simple words, because remember about 2 weeks ago, I was served with this ex parte injunction filed at the instance of one Garth Lucian Wilkin. I explained back then that an ex parte injunction is an order made by the court when the person applying for the injunction asks the court or asks for a hearing without informing the other side that he or she is even going to court. Yes, GLW, Garth Lucian Wilkin, asked for a hearing without informing me that he was going to court. Imagine that. And all I'm at liberty to say at this time is that my lawyers have filed the appropriate response to the claimant, Garth Lucian Wilkin. In the meanwhile, I also received communication from the Federation Media Group Limited, Win Media 98.9 FM, a station on which I worked for years. I brought back that program, Voices, I remember. Hosted that program when they recruited me. But the Win FM Media, or the Federation Media Group, my Straight Dog family, informed me that a decision to no longer air Straight Talk due to recent developments as of Monday, 23rd January. The Federation Media Group Limited, I was told, received a letter. They didn't tell me what's the content of the letter or from whom, but they received a letter that would have legal ramifications if it continued to air the show. It continued, however, we will be more open to reconsider re-airing the show once we have reviewed the details and all legal matters have settled in favor of it. I can only speculate what these legal matters are. I've been cited for defamation. But what I observe, my Straight Dog family, that all attempts have been made to suppress freedom of information in our beloved St. Kitts and Nevis. What I also found quite interesting, though, when I looked at the annual returns of the Win Media 98.9 FM or the FMG Limited Group, the annual returns filed with the Financial Services Regulatory Commission, I noted the particulars of 2 directors named in the form, and one of such directors is Garth Lucian Wilkin. I'm not inferring anything. You can for yourselves, my Street Dog family. Caller, I want to thank you for holding your live. Hello.
Yes, it's me again. Culture here again, radical man. I want to say this. Sometimes when I hear you and other people say that think it is the freest nation in the world, I don't open my mouth and say, oh, really? It should be, but it is not when it comes to certain things. Because here is it. Your program, you always speak the truth. Because you will never say that Mr. Bonanzi said this and you do not have the facts to back it up.
True.
So when you say Bonanzi robbed his daughters of the 3 bananas, you have Bonanzi voice saying exactly what he did. And that is what hurting all of them. Your program is not to have people go up on it and curse and call people all kind of names and disrespect people. And the moderator or the owner of the station would not stop it. And that is the reason why all of them vex with you, because you're straight and fair. And they cannot stop you. They cannot. All they could do is to done with it and take you out of the station or whatever station they want you on, take you off of that, but they cannot stop you. Because when they take you off of one station, God don't provide for you to go on another station somewhere. Now there is a disease up in the Middle East, and it is very contagious. It is up in the country of Iran. It is very, very contagious. And that disease, it is flying around the world fast, and it's coming down in the Caribbean slowly, coming down this way slowly. And nobody can stop it whenever it reaches our shore. Now let me go to Mr. the man in Nevis, that political snake, that hypocrite, Mr. Brantley. He's supposed to be the leader of the opposition in the parliament. But is he sitting in the opposition position or place? No. He right up behind the Prime Minister Joe, closer to Joe than a shot. Who is he representing? If the government decide, well, they're going to do this, and the greater populace do not agree with it, and those in parliament and the opposition do not agree with it, and all 3 supposed to speak out. Will he speak out? No, he ain't going to speak out. He ain't going to speak out because see where he is over there. Look what he do to Anawabi Shan. Tell Shan foolishness, nonsense, before he encourage Shan, broke down Shan, and everyone gone in the house in the noise warm bed and leave Shan out in the cold. But Shan, God is behind us. And with you, we are helping you. And don't feel like you will rise. Me can do what we can do to help you with Pam and Dr. Harris to with PLP. And both of you, when you in this country with the other good people, good citizens, who are politicians, not those hypocrites and crooks who were just there to fill up the long pocket. And because they didn't get a long pocket full up, they're going to talk all kind of nonsense. And this turning away, victimization, what that Monkey Hill man doing? Man in the middle for Monkey Hill. This victimization turning away people. Do you know people don't start to thief? Some of them who lose a job, going in people ground, cutting the banana and saying that it's the father ground, it's their ground. Because they ain't working. They ain't getting nothing. So let you continue to turn with people. When you turn with people and they have responsibilities, which needs financial attention and no money coming in, then he gonna see if he's a good leader. He is not a good leader of a country. He may be a good medical doctor, and he needs to take up his stethoscope, stick with that, because leadership of a country is not for him. He's too ignorant and arrogant, and the way he speak, it's like he want to fight. Let me move again now. Somebody else might want to come in, so let me move. If nobody come in, I can take up the time. This is my time.
Thank you very much, my dear brother.
Okay.
Always welcome your interventions. But here we have my straight dog family. Here we are with an inexperienced leader and prime minister. And many people are asking and pleading to give him a chance. But many of us would have learned that behind every successful leader, there is usually a capable team and many followers. But some, like I said, are begging for a chance. But this leader is so strong-headed and continues to boast that he and his team are all experts. And he fabricates, he lies. He hasn't responded to this question, and as this emailer suggested, that when asked about these questions, he gets upset. With this question.
Good afternoon, LaShawn Dixon. Minister, last time we had a count of how much CBI applications had been processed was in 2018. The question is, how many passports have been processed up until this date, and how many citizenship applications have you signed off on since in the first 100 days since taking office? And second question is, what is the general breakdown of nationalities who are willing to get citizenship, economic citizenship from St. Kitts and Nevis? And right. Is there a plan to put a cap on any nationality?
Is there a plan to
put a cap on economic citizenship?
Right, so the questions you have asked are very good questions, and we'll have to get back to you on the numbers because they are very, very specific, and I don't want to not give you. All right, so we can always work on disclosing. We'll do that. Let me say on a number of things that you asked with respect to the numbers. Those are critical questions to ask, and we'll get back to you with respect to those numbers, and you can contact us as well to be specific. All right.
Nothing but a lie. He must know how many CORs he has signed. The last time he passed it on to the new CEO, who has nothing to do with passports. All the new CEO does is supervises the completion of the applications for citizenship or for shares or for the investments. Patches, I voted for Labour in number 3, reads this email. That is my biggest mistake in 2022. In September 2022, I got removed from the PAP without any explanation. And Patches, I can agree with Drew that elections are bought because they paid me $250 to vote for Congress. Sorry now, the country at a standstill. Nothing happening, beg your pardon. I wish Team Unity can work out their differences, excluding CCM, reads this email. As we wind down tonight's program in my Street Dog family, as we said earlier, that there is an attack on freedom of expression. And for those of you who are missing me from the radio station with FM, I do apologize. But as I said earlier, I received a communication from the Federation Media Group Limited that Win Media 98.9 FM, which stated that a decision to no longer air Straight Talk due to recent developments as of Monday, 23rd of January. The Federation Media Group Limited, I was told, received a letter that would have legal ramifications if it continued to air the show. It continued, however, we will be more than open to reconsider re-airing the show once we have reviewed the details and all legal matters have settled in favor of it. All it seems to be suggesting that they received the letter and they were threatened with legal action if they continue the Straight Talk program. Now, I can't speak much in that context because, like I said, I have a restraining order on me to discuss this particular matter that's before the court. And I would not disrespect the court. What I can say to you, though, that the restraining order that was filed by one Garth Lucian Wilkin, at some day, it must come to court. And someday, we all will be able to talk at liberty about the issues, which I can't mention now. Strange, eh? Yes, in my country, that's what's happening. It's happened because I was served with this ex-parte injunction filed at the instance of one Garth Lucian Wilkin. But my Straight Talk family, a time will come when we can talk about it. But as we wind down tonight's programming, I'll perhaps take this and make this my last call for the night. Caller, you're live.
Yes, well, I only called because I hear nobody calling, eh?
That's fine.
Well, Patrice, when the Attorney General said that he's going to shame some people and they might be shaking in the boots, I want to know if he will have Dr. Joe shaking in the boots. Because the big question that's been asked of Dr. Joe, how many passports has he signed in his first 100 days? And that question been asked to him more than 10 times. And up to now, he cannot give the answer for it.
You don't
and
want
we know
to.
he don't want to.
Yep.
Because the amount of passport he signed, when he criticizing team unity with passports and whatnot, he might be shaking in the boots so much that the boots they might drop off. That's why he don't want to answer it. But he could say that there are boxes of passport in his office that he can't lift up. And what he said about the thing there, yes. He said everybody gonna be brought to justice because this government here is a government, a fair government, and it gives justice where justice is belong. Well, we're waiting to see what's gonna happen if Mr. Boaster, Attorney General, gonna do as he say, because there's a lot of things he got to go on to, because those passport, those lot of box of passport, what Drew say he find in office, where them load of box come from? 6.5 years? 20 something years go and come back. Joe is trying to distract people from listening to straight talk, because straight talk is coming with facts. You're not fabricating nothing. And the amount of lies what you telling, he's trying to fix them in a way that people don't want to say, well then wonder who passport those, who name on them, who they come from, if it's PLP, if it's Unity, or CCM, or NRP, or whosoever, or Labour. But he ain't find no lot of box of passport in the office. He lie. The only thing who come out of his mouth is lie. He cannot lead no country. And Patches, God bless you every day. And he will continue to bless you, because you are not telling any lies, and the Lord do not like liars. He do not like them, and I do not like them neither. And until you put your hands up in the air and declare, well, partner, people, I really do not have the ability and the capability to run this country. So I will step down. But, like the caller said, we're going to have to do something with a Mark Brantley there, because we cannot have the opposition man in there and he not opposing anything that the government do. Now, Judy, I'm coming out with something. Look, they condemn the big solar farm that would employ up to 300 persons on it. Congress may not come in here and talking about they're looking at 2 other smaller solar farms. For what? Why Mark don't oppose that? The unity government don't spend money on that deal, and people come down and they overlook at it. So why now they're gonna leave it? I'm gonna say they're gonna start other things. Mark Brantley need to come out and speak against that, but he ain't doing it. He ain't doing it. He's showing the whole world what hypocrisy is. Crook. But anyway, let he go ahead. It's God rule in this country, and God ain't gonna see his people them suffer for righteousness. No, he ain't gonna do it. And all of them who doing them foolishness, they don't know anything about God. Anyway, God bless you, Patches, until we meet again. Give thanks.
God bless you, my dear brother, as well.
Yeah.
Till we connect on Thursday. That's where we're going to end it tonight. This email reads, good night, Dr. Ian Patches Liebert. Keep fighting, beg your pardon, the good fight, and may God continue to keep you close. They can't stop you. They will only help your program to grow more, reads this email. Good night, Patches. I really wish you were more active last elections than the previous ones before. Jeffrey would have never been able to beat you. Sadly, they opposed you and chose Jackie instead. Someone a community only knew, beg your pardon, her name because of her dad's legacy. It's sad our country is running like this, and we really need a re-election, because these new ministers only thinking about themselves and rich friends. The poor always remain poor. Look at the PAP with one more day left, and no one will receive a January payment. It is sad, reads this email. And yes, it's sad. And as I wrap tonight's programming, I implore you, do not allow anyone to stifle free expression in our country. Yes, traditional radio is out, but share the link. Send it to your friends, your family. Send it around the world in the name of freedom of expression, which is one of the fundamental rights guaranteed by our Constitution. Imagine in St. Kitts and Nevis the enjoyment of my freedom of expression, which includes freedom to hold opinions without interference, freedom to receive ideas and information without interference, freedom to communicate ideas and information without interference, whether the communication is to the public generally or to any person or class of persons, and freedom from interference with such occurrence, with such a communication. Imagine in my country. Well, my Straight Talk family, I am not forbidden to speak about other things. And we spoke tonight about the lack of leadership. We spoke tonight, my Straight Talk family, about a leader who doesn't have a clue. But behind all good leadership, I said, there's good governance. But our Prime Minister is not investing in good governance structures. And mark my word, that will surely undermine his leadership. And he will continue, because he's already started losing his followers. In a democracy, for example, cooperation between the government and the opposition helps to establish good governance in any country. It helps with proper management of the state and its resources. It seeks to protect the interests of people from all classes. My Straight Talk family, in our country, health, water, electricity, jobs, security, and roads are all core government services that are not being delivered at all under this new administration. Indeed, critics accuse this government of driving the car in the rearview mirror because all he talks about is the former Prime Minister Timothy Harris. Timothy Harris this and Timothy Harris that, or what the Team Unity administration did not do in 7 years. But look at what it spoke about the prison project. But believe it or not, it continues, my Straight Talk family.
I am no lawyer. Government was advised on the particular course. There was no objection. If it is wrong, why are they continuing it? You can't approbate and reprobate because anyone can make an allegation, however reckless it is, especially in the civil season. The season has now ended. The government has had the benefit of the in-house opinion, which our Attorney General would have relied upon in bringing certain proposals to the cabinet. But if it's so fundamentally wrong with how they are continuing with an illegality, does it make sense to reasonable people? Doesn't. Program is being continued. It was so corrupt. You have not a scintilla of evidence of any corrupt activity being provided. You have the government determining that it was in the national interest to continue the program. So they claim, and they have continued it. Nothing has changed. The PAP is not something personal to anybody or any government. The fact that it's being continued indicates that it was a program well needed, but it is not perfect, and it will never be perfect, because even as they are criticizing it, they have found other people in similar circumstance who satisfy their political preferences, and they have ensured that those persons become beneficiaries. So we are hearing a lot of noise as if we are still in the silly season. What we need to get is hard evidence on which we can make sound decisions. We never profess that any of the programs that government has, that they are perfect. But what we do know, that there should be controls in place to minimize abuses.
My Straight Talk family, the Jew Labour administration is more about making fancy announcements rather than implementation of the core issues, the core values, the core services. Neither will it be good at delivery of the core services. Many continue to ask, does Prime Minister Jew have a clue about running a government? Or is it sheer incompetence? The Prime Minister, with an inflated ego since coming into office, quickly moved out from amongst his people and lost touch. I hear you ask, but as many also ask, does Prime Minister Jew have a clue? He moved out from amongst his people into a gated community, but he has now found a buddy who borrowed our money and after 10 years is seeking debt forgiveness. When asked about the sinister plan, if you listen to his response he gave, it is saddening. My people, these are not laughing matters. Our country is in trouble, as Prime Minister Jew does not have a clue. To say that Christopher Harbour, for example, did not have a loan is a pathological lie. And this seems like what we can describe as a chronic behavior in which the Prime Minister habitually, compulsively lies. Prime Minister Jew seems to have an irresistible urge to lie, or in fairness to him, Prime Minister Jew does not have a clue. And some of you may say, give him a chance, he's new. When we told the facts before about Christopher Harbour, and about investment, and about the loans. I read from Grant Thornton, one of the world's largest professional services networks of independent accounting and consulting member firms that provide assurance, tax and advisory services to privately held businesses, to public interest entities, and to public sector entities. I read that for you. So if Jew comes back with this nonsense talk about investment, just tell him go fly a kite. He was asked to address the high cost of living, and as usual he provides a convoluted response to every question. It is always extremely complicated and difficult to follow Prime Minister Jew because he does not have a clue. The Prime Minister needs better information on the likely scale and extent of the uncertainty which we are facing in this world. The looming recession in the United States of America, the post-COVID recovery, the lingering Russian-Ukraine war, and its fallout. The latest we are hearing, believe it or not, in the next 2 years, it's predicted that there will be a war between the USA and China, as China wants to embark upon taking Taiwan. But these are the realities that surround us and continues to negatively impact energy prices. Yet we are fighting to keep a solar farm closed down. 16 megawatt solar farm. Yet we have our electricity issues. While the supply chain issues, economic downturn all over the world. These are real issues, and the Prime Minister needs to better understand these issues if he is to better manage their effects on us as a federation. It is not good enough that the Prime Minister does not have the answers to basic questions on health, on water, electricity, jobs, security, and infrastructure. But these are all core government services that are not being delivered by the government. So we can only conclude that we are facing a new day and a worse way. And the whole country is asking, does Prime Minister Jew have a clue? That's my story tonight, and I am not going to change it. But I'm going to run, because my time is done, my Straight Dog family. And I want to thank Almighty God in the process for guiding our conversation tonight. And as always, I want to thank you, the callers, the listeners, the many listeners, the emailers. Remember, you are the ones who make Straight Talk. And for that reason, I say a big, big thank you. We'll connect on Thursday for another edition of Straight Talk. Until that time, be good to yourselves and to all whom you meet. Pray to God. God answers prayer. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Bye-bye. Until we connect on Thursday.
The morning, I thank God for the morning light, giving thanks and praises for taking me safely through the night, for the rest of food and loving care, and for my mother's breath of life that's got me here. So whatever my mind conceives that I will achieve, you better believe, because I do the things I should, be to my brethren kind and good.